I'm Christina and welcome back to my Booktube channel. Today I'm going to take a look at the new adult genre, specifically new adult urban fantasy. I've seen a lot of comments around Booktube and on Goodreads about the fact that new adult seems to only be contemporary romance. I think there's a reason that belief exists, and that's because urban fantasy authors don't go out of their way to market their books as new adult because it reduces their shelving options, I think. It's still a fact that brick and mortar bookshops are not equipped to shelve new adult even so many years after new adult established itself. Urban fantasy has a hard enough time getting shelf space within fantasy as it is, so to further niche themselves is not something they strive for. And these stories appeal to adults just as much as new adults, and therefore don't necessarily need that classification. New adult can be signified by a number of things. The main factor you would look out for is that age bracket, 18 to 25. I think new adult should extend further into the 20s, to be perfectly honest. The first new adult urban fantasy I want to talk about is Tempest Rising by Nicole Paler. This is the first book in the Jane True series. It follows Jane, who is a skelky halfling. She's been kept in the dark all 20 years of her life. Her mother left her when she was a child to return to the sea, and they had no idea why. This book is very much a situation where Jane's life has not turned out the way she hoped for. She's stuck in a small town. I think she's going to community college at some point, but that really stops at the point of this book starting. She grew up being bullied, she never fit in. In Tempest Rising, she discovers who she is, begins to establish her identity and come to understanding with her role in the world. Jane comes across a community of people she fits in with, experiences her second love and her third love, all of which with beings older than she is. She learns a substantial amount, I think, and develops quite a bit as a character through these books. But yeah, she's only 20. She classes as a new adult. There are a number of new adult themes in this book. The world building in these are exquisite. It runs for 6 books. If you have any kind of interest in a societies built within the human world where the human world is hopelessly oblivious, this is one of those perfect examples that I would recommend you go pick up. The second book I want to talk about is Dark Fever by Karen Murray Morning. It follows Michaela, Mac for short. Her sister, her twin sister I believe, is murdered. Mac decides that rather than living her sheltered life, she's going to find out what happened to her sister, and she travels to Dublin at the age of 22. Another one fitting in within the age bracket. In the process, she discovers that she's not everything she thought she was. She's a Sidsi. She can see the Fae walking among the humans. She can see through their glamour. For that reason, she's the most hunted of beings in the Fae world. They do not like humans who can see them, therefore they must die or become slaves. But Mark arrives in Dublin at the point where the Dark Fae are slowly taking over the city and portions of the city are dropping off the map each night. She meets Jericho, who is a mysterious man who owns a bookshop but somehow also is doing things to fight the Fae. He's a very mysterious man and not much is known, but there's a little bit of a sizzle of lust there between the two of them. And this is an example of a book that takes somebody out of their comfort zone and throws them in the deep end, where she has tried to shrug off her self-centered nature to care for somebody else. And the fact that she continues to fight in this battle against the Fae taking over, I think is an identity thing for her in herself. She's discovered her purpose in the world. She's terrified. She longs for what she had, but she's not backing down. And that's a major thing. I think it's a character building situation that people go through when they're getting their first jobs. When you have no idea what you want to do and you're terrified leaving uni, and you hope to God you're going in the right direction, because if you aren't, it's going to cause you issues further down the line. This one is a very thrilling in nature, so I would, if you're interested in that kind of a driving book that has exquisite world building over multiple books. I'm not sure, I think there's about 11 books or more in this series. I'm far behind on it, but this is a long-term read, so I'd pick that up. If you notice, we're going up the age range here. The next one I want to talk about is Touch the Dark by Karen Chance. This is the Cassie Palmer series. It follows Cassandra Palmer, Cassie Palmer, who was raised by vampires who murdered her parents. While on the run for her life at 22, she gets chosen by a god-gifted power to take on the office of the Pythia with no training, and then gets embroiled in a massive international crisis for books and books to come. Don't even think the supernatural community is all that hidden in this series from the humans. I very much think if the humans don't know, then they're a bit too blind, because there are vampire senates, there's demons and mag societies. Yeah, it's all out, full world building, fully developed, non-stop. That's what this series is, non-stop. She goes from a point where she is focused on her own self-interests. Her goal is to survive. She trusts no one. The people she does trust end up betraying her. And again, she's coming to terms with a destiny that she did not want. She's gaining her identity and she's growing as a person. And she's only 22 and is the pinnacle of all supernatural communities internationally. She is the oracle, essentially, and controls time and can jump back and forth in time and speed up people's aging. It's kind of terrifying for somebody that young to be in control of. I think this book has a lot of the new adult themes. Sludge by Helen Harper is another example of a new adult urban fantasy. I'm not entirely sure how old Ivy is. She's early 20s definitely, I just don't know exactly how old she is. But this is Sludge. It's part of the Lazy Girl's Guide to Magic. And Ivy is one of those very self-centered characters. All she cares about is doing as little as possible. She was one of the most powerful witches in her class. Her boyfriend, I think he was her boyfriend, came from a wealthy family and he got caught cheating from her. So he decided to tell everyone that she cheated off of him. And when that came out, she attacked him, getting herself expelled from the order. That sheer act turned her against anything to do with the order. She wants nothing to do with them. She drives a taxi for a living and will do absolutely anything to do as little as possible. She's that lazy, she'd rather be on the sofa watching telly. Unfortunately for Ivy, a little mix-up means that she gets mistaken for her neighbour and gets magically tied to Raphael Winter, who is essentially one of the highest levels of witch you can get in the order and is a detective in burglary. She then gets embroiled in a bit of a conspiracy within the order where magical items that defend things are going missing. She gets a bit of a taste for using her magic for people, to help people. And she gets a bit of a taste for Raphael Winter. This is a typical example of having to change your perspective, being forced to change your perspective among your peers who judge you badly and have a bad understanding of you as a person. They misjudge you entirely, and she does everything she can to make sure they continue to misjudge her, because if they misjudge her, she's stronger than they think she is. Win-win for her. This is light-hearted, funny, she does not take herself seriously, and I love it. It's very much a mystery in trying to solve the burglaries and then the murders, but it's not gory grisly. It's more of a cozy mystery feel to it than straight up crime gore kind of deal. This next book is outside of the 18 to 25 age range, but at the same time I'm pretty sure it still factors in as a new adult. First Grave on the Right by Dorinda Jones. It follows Charlie Davidson, who has recently started up her own private detective agency. She also happens to be the Grim Reaper, something she's had to deal with from a very young age. She's one of those self-centered people who has to learn to put others before herself in the living world. She's been delivering souls to the gates since she was 5. Taking care of the departed isn't an issue for her. They're living, on the other hand. She's just too curious for her own good sometimes, and that's where she gets herself into trouble in this book. There's also a bit of a sizzling romance carried through these books that essentially should not be. This is hilarious at times, very well written, well developed, but Charlie as a self-centered character is non-stop and does not get better through the series. It's an interesting factor in that she is possibly too stubborn for her own good. So those were the 5 books I had to recommend that I've read. I hope this video was insightful. I hope it helped to guide you to some non-contemporary romance new adult. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you plan to pick any of these books up or if you've already read them and what you thought, whether you agree with my perception that they are new adult books in the first place. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you next time. Bye!